Hey guys, thanks for tuning me in for this 37th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include Texas artist April N. Smith. We'll be talking about her new single, 1 2 Step Away, plus upcoming music. We'll also visit with country artist and producer Eric Lee. He's got a new single to talk about, Same Dirt Road. We'll also visit with Texas artist Chris Roberts. Got a brand new single we'll be talking about called Get Down. And we'll also share our monthly visit with our good friend Meathead Goldwyn. We'll be talking about those wood pellet grills and some spring grilling checklist ideas as well. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and of course share with your friends. Well, it seems like every drink brand in the world feels like they're required by law to make either a hard seltzer or energy drink. Well, the latest brand to do so is Perrier. They just created a new, quote, carbonated energy water called Perrier Energize. It comes with different fruit flavors, and one can has about the same amount of caffeine as a cup of coffee. If you're interested, it's on sale now. Texas country artist and songwriter and, I believe teacher as well, April N. Smith with us. And April, first off, it's nice to meet you. Appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit about the new single, 1 2 Step Away, how that one came to be, and how you feel about the response you've had so far.
Okay, well, we were actually in the studio recording 6 other songs with my producer, J.B. Patterson and Taylor Tatch, and we were looking for a 7th, trying to round it out to a 7-song EP. Mm-hmm. And J.B. said, I wrote a song for myself and never cut it, but I really think that it's got a good lyric, and I think that maybe you could change some things around and make it your own. Would you be interested? And I said, I'm always interested in anything you write, so that's fine. And so he pitched it to me, and I knew immediately it had that great dancing beat, up tempo, and it also had very relatable lyrics. And so we decided we were going to take a shot at it. So we just kind of had to change some gender things. It was, changing he to she to he, and things like that. So it fit for a female to sing it, and went in and knocked it out that afternoon. And it's just kind of one of those things that was meant to be. Had a really great response so far. And when we play it out, the crowds filled the dance floor. And so I'm very excited to have it on the album.
And how excited are you? You talk about getting out and play and being able to play a little bit more after, what's probably seemed like forever in between gigs, right?
Right. Well, it was for a while, but actually I've stayed very busy. It's been interesting for me because I wasn't playing in a lot of bars and clubs. I was playing more in restaurants and private events. Mm-hmm. And so even though we had to slow down a little bit, it wasn't terrible. Really starting back in the fall, I've stayed busy almost every weekend from September on, and March is proving to be extremely busy. I've got 2 gigs almost every single week. And so it's been a whirlwind for sure, but I'm excited about everything opening back up and being able to get into the clubs and bar scene and get out there and meet some more folks.
And it sounds like the ambiance is stirring a little bit. How has being a teacher, being around schools and all that during the week, especially in the midst of the pandemic, how has that kind of, I guess the weekend is your release, right?
It is. I mean, I play during the week sometimes too. It was kind of a blessing that I was a school teacher in the spring whenever we had the break for COVID, because it allowed me to kind of gain my thoughts and us to go in and record the remainder of the record that we hadn't finished, because we'd only done 2 songs at that point. It gave me time in the studio to go spend to do the last 5 songs. But since coming back, man, it has been hard to work full time through the week, sometimes play a gig Wednesday and Friday evening, and then spend the weekends on the road traveling. So, but that's the way it is. I mean, if you love it, you chase that dream, and it doesn't matter. And so I love both of them, and so we're good.
How do you keep the energy up, especially after, I can imagine, I've got a 16-year-old at school, and if you had to deal up with my 16-year-old, it'd be done by the end of the day.
Well, I have a 16-year-old at home, too. So I have 3 girls. And so I have 3 daughters at home. And then I have a full classroom here. But honestly, there's lots of coffee that goes on in my room. And so, and I try to stick to a pretty strict exercise routine as well, because that helps kind of level out my energy and things like that. So, but it is wearing. By the time I get home on Sunday evening, I'm ready to chill for a little bit. So
now, how has the songwriting been for you? How has the inspiration been there? Has it been a little bit harder for you?
I was actually shocked whenever I wrote my first song, Enough. I wrote that on the heels of my divorce, and that kind of flowed out of me through that experience. And I've said over and over that I could not have written this album any earlier in my life because I just didn't have the life experience that I needed to be able to connect with these lyrics. And so for what we were trying to accomplish on this album, I think I was at the right place at the right time. And I was surrounded by some really great co-writers and musicians that were able to inspire and help me get to the point where I needed to get. Writing has always been a struggle for me. It's been one of those things that I've not necessarily connected with as well, but I think it's because I don't play an instrument. And so when I'm trying to write on my own and come up with the melody and the lyric, I'm one of those that likes to hear the melody first and put lyrics with what they're playing versus the other direction. And so now that I've surrounded myself with a team of musicians that throw ideas at me all the time, then it's becoming increasingly easier for me to be able to come up with lyrics. So that's kind of been my take on the writing process so far.
How has 2020 changed not only you, but the way you see things around you? I imagine, especially at the school, it's got to be your view has changed a little.
It definitely has changed. I think that we value things a lot more and appreciate the experiences that we get to have. I mean, even so much as having kids in the classroom, sometimes we have those students that were like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till they go home. And then now I'll think back to 2020 and I sent those babies home on spring break and they never came back to me. And it's like losing your own kids, and so it was incredibly hard. And so I was very happy when we came back to in-person learning and I was able to go to the 4th grade pod and grab those babies and hug them and tell them how much I missed them. But it also has made me appreciate simple things like going out to eat with my kids, my own personal children. We weren't able to do that for quite some time. However, in retrospect, I think back and I think during the time that we were shut down from March until, really June-ish was whenever things started opening back up a little bit. Those were probably some of the most sit-down dinners that me and my children had in a long time, and times to sit down and play a game of cards. And so it gave me perspective on both ends. It gave me perspective of what I needed to appreciate as far as work goes with teaching. It gave me perspective of what I needed to appreciate with my own children at home that I had been missing. And then it also, in my singing and my music career, it is hard to play to an empty crowd, and so doing those live Facebook streams, those were incredibly difficult, and it makes you appreciate those audiences that you have connection with and those people that come out and clap and dance and make the energy in the room so much different. So I really think 2020 put a lot of things into perspective for me that I took for granted.
And how tech savvy have you become over the last 12 months?
Well, this Zoom call proved to be a little difficult, but no, I'm just teasing. It did. I'm okay. I definitely had to learn. It was a learning curve, especially for school, having to do what we use Schoology. And so having to get all those things put online, assessments and things, that proved to be a new challenge for me. But I'm pretty good about, live streams on Facebook whenever I was doing music. We've been pretty successful with doing those things. So I've definitely learned a lot. I've definitely learned where my shortcomings are and that I appreciate a tech guy that can do all those things for me and make those connections without me having to do it.
They're always handy. They're always handy.
Yes. They are worth every cent you pay them.
Now, how much different was your first Facebook takeover as opposed to your last one? I've heard so many great technical stories behind the scenes.
Well, the first one that we did, we actually tried to do at someone's studio, and the whole thing was just garbled. And I had no idea the whole time we're sitting there, working. The internet connection was terrible, and it was a complete flop. And then, I don't know, the next one got a little bit better. So it's just gotten better and better and better. I think that as we've had to do this more, technology has also adjusted, and there's been a lot of Facebook has made a lot of adjustments for things. but we just learned as we went, basically. And thank goodness that our fans are forgiving and know that we're all learning this as we go and trying to get the music out to you in any way possible. So I appreciate my fans' patience, because they were probably, after the first one, if anybody watched after that, it was a miracle, because it was pretty rough to watch.
Yeah, I remember when we were sent home over spring break too, and then I started doing the morning show from home, and yeah, over the last year, the studio at home looks a whole lot different than it did back then.
I think that I learned that it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be put into situations, because that's when you start finding things out about yourself that you didn't know. And I think that 2020 pushed me to a level professionally and personally that I didn't think that I could go, and I didn't think that I could do some of the things that I did, but because of circumstance, I had to. And so my biggest takeaway is there's really not anything that I can't do if I put my mind to it, because I have a great team of support behind me, personally and professionally, and I should not doubt myself. I should just keep plugging. That's all I can do.
That's good stuff. Now, April, as you move into 2021, how is the goal setting for you with the new year and the new releases?
Things have definitely changed. I used to do a lot of acoustic shows. My goal set now is that I've got a great set of musicians that they were playing with Charlie Pride, and now they're full-time, able to play for me. And so my goal has switched from not so much acoustic shows but to doing full band shows, keeping those guys busy, getting out there on the road, and not being afraid of distance, travel, things like that, because that's always been a difficult part. But so my goals have switched to more of that. I want to be able to play full band shows in front of live audiences, and not have to turn down things because they're too far away, to get out there and play as many places as possible. And so, yeah, that's kind of where my goal has been, to be able to put a face with those fans and to take my entire band with us. And so we can get out there and show them what we've got as far as a whole. There's a whole different dynamic in an acoustic show and a full band show. And so that's kind of been my goal so far, is how much can I get booked for the full band? And I want to play all these different places, all these different towns, all these different radio stations that are playing our music. I want to be sure I hit something close to them, so that those listeners that are giving our song spins and radio DJs and things like that, that they're able to come out and see us live. That's important to me.
And you get to make a more personal connection as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's very important.
Now, April, if folks want to find out more about the single, about upcoming dates, social media and all that, where's the best place for everybody to go?
Well, on my Facebook and Instagram, it's at April N. Smith Music. And then I have my website, www.aprilnsmithmusic.com, and you can find all my shows listed on any of those sites. And if you want to purchase merchandise, my website is linked to my Square store. And so, but yeah, any of those places, just as long as you put the N, it's very important that you put the N, because there's another April Smith. And so that's why we have to use my middle initial. So.
Gotcha. Well, April, it's been great to visit with you today. I appreciate you taking some time, and the ambiance wasn't so bad.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. I appreciate you having me so much. It's been fun.
Well, there are tons of people who have gotten used to working from home over the past year, and a lot of them aren't willing to let it go. And according to a new survey, 1/3 of people who are working remotely right now said they would quit on the spot if they had to start going into an office for work every day. Now, 39% said they'd rather take a pay cut than go to an office. The survey also found 51% of people say every company needs to give people the option of working remotely at least some of the time. Our next guest, country singer, songwriter, producer, behind-the-scenes guy with his debut release. We've got Eric Lee with us today. And first off, Eric, thanks so much for taking the time, brother.
Thanks for having me, Cameron. Appreciate it.
This isn't the first time we've seen each other. I saw you, 2 weeks ago when the karaoke night. That's the first time I'd ever met you, but tell us a little bit why the music now, I guess it would be my first question.
Yeah, that was fun, by the way. That was a much needed time. I loved it. I was, drinking tequila, my fiance joined, and I was glad that she got to, meet everybody. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I wound up singing Freddie Fender before the next teardrop falls. And Yeah, I actually learned that for her mom actually, and I tried to get the pronunciation of that Spanish verse as best as I could, but it's such a great song. He was such a great country singer, so it was cool to pick
I was
that one
kind
up.
of bummed you didn't like put on the '70s garb and do like the backdrop like Lynn. Did you remember?
Oh,
Were you
hell yeah.
there when Lindsay Lane did hers and she did the Selena and had the backdrop and the
Oh,
dancers?
I loved it. Yeah, that was so cool. So cool.
She raised the bar real high and everybody else was just like, yeah, it's not happening again.
Yep. No, she did. Yeah, but yeah, it's I've been producing music for a long time. I've been playing music, my entire life. My dad, he gave me my first guitar when I was about 11 years old, and so I moved to South Florida, when I was about 9 or 10 though, with my grandmother, and I was back and forth, actually because I was born in New York originally, and then moved down to South Florida with my grandmother, and she took me to guitar lessons every week and was at all the terrible shows I first played when I was young, and she was one of my biggest supporters at a young age, and pretty much raised me and my brother. And so but I've always had an eclectic taste in music, and but some of my earliest memories is my other grandmother on my father's side. She'd always play Dolly Parton records and the Judds, and we'd be driving around in her car. And then I had another uncle who introduced me at a young age to Eagles and their early stuff. They started out in country, and so and then eventually Dwight Yoakam and Marty Stewart, and just great music. So I've always loved country music. I've dabbled in rock music projects a lot, and now as a producer, I've had the opportunity to produce a lot of different records for a lot of different artists. And I went to recording school in South Florida, and after I wrapped up with that, there were some opportunities out in California, and so I came out here, which is where I am right now in Eagle Rock, and this is my studio. This is where I produce everything. And so once the pandemic hit, I know that it had a negative impact on quite a lot of people. My heart goes out to everyone, so I don't want to sound insensitive saying this, but for me, it had, it gave me an opportunity, since I couldn't meet up with anybody for quite some time, to finally, lay down some of these songs that have been coming to me over the past few years. And, they've been like a gift to me, because I've always wanted to sort of tap into what my voice was as a singer-songwriter. We're always trying to find that authenticity, and it, at this point in my life, it just feels very authentic to be making this record, and I'm very proud of it. I can't wait for everybody and for you to hear the rest of the songs. I got a new single actually coming out next Friday, March 12th.
Next Friday. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Now, tell us for you how I'm a perfectionist, and I have a hard time saying something's done, and because it's got to be absolutely perfect. But
Oh my God.
for you as a producer, how hard do you make it on yourself as an artist?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. it's very fulfilling. I can't complain, but
Right.
I love to collaborate with people, and that's been, if there's been any challenge during this time, it's not being able to feed off the energy of other people. And I do Zoom sessions, and the writing is an easy part, but taking on the task of recording and producing this album has solely fallen on, here's me, I'm going to be in this room, and I'm just going to try things and see if it works and try to entertain myself. And there, you go through so many versions, but I find that I love having another person or working with another engineer or producer, because it just gives you that affirmation, that reassurance that, you're headed in the right direction. You get that enthusiasm. And so, but it's great. I'm still, the cool thing actually is that I've taken the mixing responsibilities away from myself. I record it as best as I can, and I send it out to Vance Powell in Nashville. And he's, I'm sure you know who he is, but for anybody watching who doesn't know who he is, he's one of my favorite mixing engineers in the entire world. He's done Chris Stapleton's records and Jack White's records and so many more. And
just a couple of no names.
Just a couple of no, but yeah. And he was so supportive of my songs, and so generous with giving me some tips as a producer and engineer myself. And it was an honor to get to work with him. And like we're talking right now through Zoom, that's how we were talking. And so it was just a trip, because I've seen quite a few of his videos online, and now, we're just talking candidly, and he's giving me a live stream of the mixes, and it was a really, really cool experience for sure.
Now, how hard is it to hear somebody's editorial feedback for you?
Oh, what do you mean?
On differences of opinion, how hard, especially since you have the producer hat as well?
Yeah, absolutely. He gave me some. I asked him before we dove into the mixing sessions to just give it to me straight, and he had some really great advice. About primarily in the recording of Same Dirt Road. He thought, he loved the way that I sang the other songs, and then Same Dirt Road, I kind of took a first pass at it. It was the demo, and I kind of got demo-itis with it, and he was like, oh, you should, I know you could sing it better than that. You should probably go and, put that same passion, that same character, you put into the rest of the song. So I took his advice, and just sort of re-sang the entire thing. And when he mixed it, though, he did exactly what I hoped he would do, which was great. I really barely had any notes. And he's an artist, in himself. Some mixing engineers are very accommodating, and they'll be like, well, what do you, they're a blank canvas, where he is, the type of artist that, here's my thing, this is what you hired me to do, and he delivered. It was exactly what I had hoped for, so it was great.
Now, do you play keyboard or guitar? You a guitar player?
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself keyboardist. I could, I got this little MIDI keyboard. Well, I can't pull it out right now, but underneath my desk right here, and I can get some things done and then edit it the right way. But yeah, I primarily play guitar. It was my first instrument. I almost actually was gonna play bass, and the guitar teacher, in South Florida pulled me aside and was like, "You don't want to play bass. You want to play guitar. You play guitar, you can play bass." And he was right. So now I get to do both on these records. So it's great. And
bass is hard to sing acoustic too.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I guess you get the stand up and do the acoustic that way, right?
Yeah. This, that upright bass action.
Now, I know that you've got your guitar there with you. I didn't know what you if you still want to play something for us, or
of course, yeah.
Give us a little intro. What you gonna play for us?
Yeah, so I'll play the singles. So yeah, this is my first single, and it just dropped a few months ago. It's called Same Dirt Road, and yeah, it's got a chorus that just came to me out of the blue. And I was doing a writing session with one of my best friends, Frank Palazzolo, last year on Zoom, early last year. And we were going to work on something different for a different project. But I sang him this chorus real quick. And he stopped me, immediately and said, no, we got to work on that song. We were having a few beers, and we just loved the idea of writing a simple drinking song that brought people together. And the reaction so far has been great. I really appreciate your support, Cameron, and and everybody who's requested the song. It really means the world to me. It's been life changing. So
that's awesome.
That song. Yeah. We're in the same small town, bored out our brains, with the same cold lovers and a heart on a string, driving every day in his beat up truck on the same dirt road where we all grow up. If you're riding through the country or downtown, crack of dawn on a subway, if you're working on a Sunday or sipping on some Tanqueray, raise it up, I might not have it down your street. We might do things differently. She's wearing blue and he's wearing pink, and who cares about what anyone thinks? We're in the same small town, bored out our brains, with the same gold lovers and a heart on a string, driving every day in his beat up truck on the same dirt road where we all grow up. Everyone thinks their ways are better, but sometimes we gotta drink together. We stand tall when we all show love on the same dirt road where we all grow up. Oh, the same dirt road where we all grow up. Oh, on the same dirt road where we all grow up. If you're blowing in a desert wind, or your grandma thinks you're living in sin, I know it. And if you're living through a bad phase, well, we all make mistakes every day. I might not have it down your street, we might do things differently. She does this and they like that, but who cares? old town boy that all brains with the same cold lovers and a heart on a string, driving every day in his beat up truck on the same dirt road that we all grow up. So leave your woes in the rearview mirror and raise a glass, have a drink together. We stand tall when we all show love on the same dirt road that we all grow up. Oh, the same dirt road that we all grow up. On the same dirt road that we all grow up. It's the same town, we're all in the same town. On the same dirt road that we all grow up.
There you go. There you go. That's good stuff, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Who is the artist that you play the most covers of?
You know, it's so across the board. I have to say, I'd say Bob Dylan. I proposed to my fiance with "Make You Feel My Love" in 2019, and her grandfather actually joined me, who's been a musician all his life and served in the Navy and just an amazing guy. And he joined me, and made it a very special moment. So that song is probably one of the most, oversang covers I do a lot now because her family and my family wants me to sing it all the time. But it's all across the board. Like I said, I do that Freddie Fender one, and trying to think. I spend so much of my time doing my own songs that it's just that kind of thing.
The songwriting, the inspiration, has it been harder? Has it been maybe harder to keep it maybe bright, I guess?
Well, I mean, for me, it's interesting, because since this is my first album, all these songs, half of them are pre, this pandemic, and the other half are I'm still tightening up right now. I'm midway through finishing the production. Actually, I've carved out pretty much the rest of this month so that I can finish the recording and and send it all to Vance, because he keeps hitting me up like, when am I getting these songs? I want to finish the album. But a lot of my songs are hopeful, I think, and have I think a message of hope and love and so on and so forth. And there's some pretty nice romantic ballads that I've written for my soon-to-be wife in there that I'm really, really proud of. And so it's a pretty diverse album, I'd have to say. Some of the songs lean a little bit more, folk Americana, singer-songwriter, since, the majority of my songs start off with this acoustic guitar. And so sometimes I leave it as is. This upcoming single, Walking in Your Shoes, it started that way, but then it grew into a full-blown Southern rock production. So it's very different than Same Dirt Road, but it fits together somehow, which I'm pleased to see. And so, I think it's going to be a very dynamic album, and I hope people really enjoy it.
Now, how much has being in California, doing the production there, how much has that affected your version of country music? Because I know it's so open of a genre anyway. I mean, has that affected, you think, your sound?
Well, oh yeah, undoubtedly, I'd have to say. But I've had the chance to work with so many different songwriters and producers across all the genres, and it gives me the opportunity to do my own thing with it, and have my own voice. And I think everybody loves, when there's something innovating within a genre. And, that's what I always aim to do, is try to do something new with whatever I'm making at the time, whether it's producing a song for somebody else or myself. And so, but some of the great country singers came out of California. Dwight Yoakam, the Bakersfield Beat, which I have on all the time in my car, pretty much. And so, Eagles, they started off as a California country band. And so, it's hard because I was primarily raised in South Florida. I've lived out in California for quite some time. I was born originally in New York. So I've lived all over, and then I've toured and I've traveled all throughout this country. So, it's hard for me to call myself, by a state, because I feel like I'm just an American singer-songwriter at the end of the day. And I've got my own perspective and my own voice, and, I'm just doing my own thing with it. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, you got time to play one more for us?
Yeah, sure. All right. You know what? I'm going to play the one coming out next week.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. It's called Walking in Your Shoes. Here we go. Hold on. Tired hands, a restless soul, trying to make the best with all I know. These changing times, they collect their toll. I carry on my way like a stranger in this home. Maybe we're not alone, walking these worn down roads. Maybe love's meant for us to spread around. You're thinking I'm born to lose, but maybe I'm just like you. You won't know till you're walking in my shoes. 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 To the end of the road, it's only me and you. Broken dreams under their thrones, built these roads that we can't roam, but the battle cries will guide us home. Yeah, haunted by all the devil's done. We carry on our way till all our fears have won. Maybe we're not alone, walking these worn down roads. Maybe love's meant for us to spread around. You're thinking these signs are true, but what if we've all been fooled? I won't know till I'm walking in your shoes. 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 Till the end of the road is only me and you. Walking in their shoes. Yeah, we won't know till we're walking in their shoes.
That's good stuff right there, brother.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. Now, Eric, if folks want to keep up with the new releases, all the social media, and keep up with the recording process, you share some of that on your socials as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on. So Instagram is my most active, I think, platform right now. It's Eric Lee Music. You visit me there and talk to me there. I'm always answering messages. And Facebook, it's Eric Lee Live on Facebook. So you can also go to my website too, ericlee.live.
ericlee.live, Eric Lee Music, and Eric Lee Live.
Yeah, it's hard to get it uniformed. I tried and I failed, but hey, I'm here to do it.
My daughter had to do it. She had to come up with our hashtag and everything. And you know what? She picked one that I can use everywhere. I was amazed. You have to go to the teenagers for that stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon.
Would love that. Thank you for having me, Cameron. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Well, you can make a lot of money right now with just 2 simple steps. Number 1, make an imaginary character real, and number 2, shoot it. Well, the state of Oklahoma is now offering $2.1 million in a bounty to anyone who hunts Bigfoot. Now, the whole thing is a tourism play. They're hoping that it brings people to the state to go on Bigfoot hunts, and it'll give businesses the chance to sell Bigfoot hunting licenses. And to that we say, good luck. Well, this is a country that likes its cheese and its beer. And while we've all got our own preferences on both, when you look across the entire population, lots of people are gravitating toward the same things. Now, 2 new surveys just figured out the most popular cheese in the country and the most popular beer. Now, our favorite cheese is cheddar. It got 19% of the vote. American came in second, followed by mozzarella, Swiss, and a tie between pepper jack and Colby Jack. Now, the beer survey broke things down a little differently and found the most popular beer in every state, and based on that, number 1 is Budweiser, which won 27 states. Corona came in second with 19 states, and Coors and Bud Light each won 2 states. Always good to visit with folks a second time around. We've got Texas artist Chris Robert. Chris, great to visit with you. I hope you're having a good start to the week.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Now,
We're having fun with people checking out the new song out and the EP. So I'm glad to finally get some few more songs out there.
Now, the new single, Get Down, tell us where this one came from for you.
That is simply about when the pandemic hit, we were out on the road and we didn't know what to do. So we went into the studio in Joshua Tree, California. And then everybody was just kind of looking at me like, okay, well, we're here. And now what? And I was in the vocal booth and staring out the window. Luckily, it was really pretty. And I was sitting there looking out the window at a Joshua Tree and saw a jackrabbit hopping through the desert. And I felt just like that jackrabbit. So the first, I'm a jackrabbit in the desert, and then it was just, it's time. We have to get on with our get down. There's no, what else are we going to do? We don't have another option, and we're going to get on with the get down. So whichever way we can do that, we're trying.
Now, is that how most of your songwrites come? Is just like an instantaneous thing and it just boom?
Well, no, it all comes different for me. Yeah, that was just the same thing. It's like my back's against the wall and it's like, how will somebody make up a song? We got to do something. And I just felt like that was just that song. And then every song, sometimes I sit down and I'll write, and I think I have 3 songs, and somehow I end up combining them into one song. Or it just goes in all different ways. Or somebody else from the band comes up with something, or it's just always just different ideas, and wherever life takes you.
Yeah, exactly. Your sound is it's definitely a blend of so many different styles. Where did your first love of music come? I mean, where you first gravitated toward music, if you will?
Golly, I just remember, growing up, there was country music on the radio. It was the good old 80s country, and I like late 80s or mid 80s, early whatever. I listened to it all because that's what my dad had on when he was taking me to practice or whatever I was doing. And I just like that. And then all of a sudden I got into, the teen years. You start getting into rock and roll and all that stuff. And even I listened to, hip hop and everything, making my way as growing up, I think, as everybody does. So it came from everywhere, but my soul has always been gravitates to where I is like Southern rock, which I'll play different songs all the time. It's just whatever song's good. It's, that's the vibe.
Whichever one's speaking to you at the moment, right?
Yeah, it's just whatever comes out at the time,
How hard has songwriting for you been over the last year, or has it maybe sparked a little bit more inspiration?
Yeah, the whole record that eventually is going to come out, the second part of this Red Feather EP, will be the full record, I guess. I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet. Blue Feather or something. I don't know. But it'll always be something feather. It's more songs about, they were all written when we were in lockdown in a studio, and so all the songs were just generated from the feeling of missing, going from missing your loved ones to, let's party, all the different emotions. But you'll notice a lot of the songs on this somehow get back to the feelings that we're feeling right now, that people have been feeling or were feeling. Hopefully we're not feeling that way for long.
We can only hope, right?
They come from everywhere, but this one is about that. The next one is, whatever.
What's it been like getting out there to play after, especially in front of folks that haven't had the chance to see any live music in a while?
Well, I got to play a few shows a little while back in Macon, Georgia, which was quite a treat. They took really good care of me. I got to go to the Big House Museum, because I'm kind of under the umbrella with the Allman Brothers in them, and so that was really cool. I got to hold some guitars that were nobody's touched in years. But anyway, we got to play in Macon. We did that, played, and then we got to play in Chattanooga at a baseball minor league park, and everybody was just it was fun, even though it wasn't, because we're further away and people are kind of whatever. It's just people were just really excited, and then it was really cool. It was cool. I hope that I can't wait to get back out there, to be honest. It's just driving all of us nuts,
What is it about the live show that really lights your fire about the live show? Is it the coming on stage, hearing the reaction? What is it for you?
When you can see, well, most of the time it's just nerve wracking, it's, and, walking out with 2,300 people out there, even in COVID, spread out all over the thing on a big stage is it's like, I hope we know what the hell we're doing, but when the first chord strikes, it's time to rip, and we have fun. And I like the performing and singing. And the studio is a completely different thing. I like writing songs and collaborating with the guys and making the songs. But the real thing that I like to do is the songs. We're a live band. We're better live, it's more fun. You can feel the energy, and I try and give everybody the emotions of what the song is about, and really portray what it is. And it seems to come across. We do better from people when they come to see us. We get a way bigger reaction than just like putting out a song, I think. So,
now, what goals do you guys set for the new year as things start to open up? Has goal setting changed for you completely?
Yeah, I mean, what could they be? I don't know. Hopefully, to go play some songs, and no, we're going. I'm really looking forward to getting back in the studio. We've kind of got it dialed in, and a producer that I'm really excited. He actually did Blackberry Smoke's last album, and he's really excited to work with us. And I'm looking forward to going in. I've already met with the guys, and we've had some writing sessions, and so we got a lot of songs, and now it's just like, let's narrow them down to which ones we want to use now and whatever. So hopefully we're going to do that, release the next part of the album that I did, the Red Feather, and then maybe go play some shows.
You hope that's what everybody wants.
Yeah. I think we're shooting a video out in Joshua Tree for Get Down. So that'll probably come out not too long, so people can kind of check that out and see us getting psychedelic out in the desert.
You got to do that in Joshua Tree, right?
Hey, those are funky looking trees.
that they are. Now, Chris, if folks want to keep up with not only the new releases as those become available, but upcoming dates as those become available, and social media, all that as well, what's the best way to keep up with it?
I'm so bad at this. I'm going to get in trouble, but the official Chris Roberts is one way. Find my Instagram, or I'm pretty sure you can. It's on. It's Spotify, every major streaming thing. You type in Chris Roberts and it's going to point you to, or Red Feather will take you there. But we got all the media things out there. You just gotta.
He's like, I'm just playing.
You get to surf a little bit, but the official Chris Roberts will find you there.
That's good stuff. Well, Chris, I love the sound of the new single, and I look forward, once things open up, fully catching up in person.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support.
Well, you don't have to just reluctantly eat peeps this year on Easter. You can also reluctantly look like a peep. Well, just in time for Easter, there's a new line of eyeshadow in Peeps colors and with that glittery light look that all the Peeps have. Now, they've also made makeup sponges that are shaped like Peeps, and if you're interested, you can buy both for $40. It is time for our monthly visit with our good friend, the Grand Poobah of grilling, Meathead Goldwyn. And first off, happy March to you, my friend.
Oh, I'm up here in Chicago, Cameron. The snow has thawed, and I can smell spring any day now. Of course, I've been out grilling all winter. Nothing stops me. But, come spring, that's when people start dusting off their old rust bucket, and they head down to the hardware store and they see all those new shiny grills and they start checking the bank account.
And I know one of the ones I think we've talked in it shortly before was the wood pellet grills. Those are all the rage and all the talk. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about that, maybe the positives, the negatives, and maybe some of the misnomers, if you will.
Yeah, it has become quite the rage now. Charcoal grills and gas grills are still out there aplenty. But these pellet grills, or actually I prefer to call them pellet smokers, because they're better at smoking than they are at grilling, most of them. We'll talk about that. But they have some really cool features. Most importantly, they are set it and forget it. They have a thermostat, just like your indoor oven. You can set a temperature for it, so you can peg it at 225, which is a good temperature for smoking, low and slow. For things like ribs and pork butt and brisket. And it will stay at or near 225. Most grills, even your indoor oven, they will go slightly above your target temp. Then they'll shut off the heat. Then they'll dip slightly below and then shut on the heat. And then up and down, they call it a sinusoidal curve. It's a sinus. And it's this wavy wave. Your indoor oven can fluctuate as much as 20 or 30 degrees. These pellet smokers often fluctuate only 5 or 10 degrees at maximum in either direction. So they stay pretty darn close to your target temp, and you don't have to, add more charcoal or adjust for cold air. You set it for 225, it'll hit 225 in the winter, in the summer. It's a thermostat, just like your indoor oven. And that's really nice. You don't have to worry about it. You just set it and forget it. And they burn little wooden pellets. If you took a pencil and broke it into 10 little pieces, about a half-inch long, that's what these pellets look like. And they're just compressed sawdust. There's no glue or additives or anything. It's just compressed sawdust. And so it's pure wood. And so you get a nice wood flavor from them. The pellets are not cheap. Per BTU, they're more expensive than a gas grill or a charcoal grill, but not a lot. And the convenience really makes it worthwhile.
We talked about the pros. What are maybe some of the setbacks, if you will?
Well, they are an oven. They're set up much like your indoor oven. The little cup at the bottom that burns the pellets is set underneath a metal plate, just like in your indoor oven. So you get warm air, and you can get a lot of warm air. It can go up to 500-600 degrees. But warm air isn't ideal for doing things like searing a steak. It'll roast beautifully, but you wouldn't put a steak in your oven to sear it, and you don't expect to use a pellet grill or pellet smoker to sear a steak. If you want to sear a steak, you have to expose it to infrared energy, which means you have to expose it to glowing charcoals or flame from a gas grill. And now some of them, the newer models, have tried to get that flame to shine through so you can sear. Notably, the Weber has that ability. A few of them actually have a burner on the side that'll let you sear. But you should consider it to be a wood oven. And that's just fine for things like pizza, roasting chicken, doing a brisket or a pork butter ribs. But if you want that gorgeous, dark, all over sear that you get on a steak at a steakhouse, you really need a little more infrared. Go to something like charcoal. So you might want to keep a charcoal grill on the side for steaks and burgers and lamb chops.
Now, you talk about the convenience, and with convenience always comes a price tag as well.
Oh, yeah. You have seen them.
Yeah. How much difference is the price tag, the bottom line, I guess you should say?
Well, all right. An entry-level charcoal grill can be under $100. Right. An entry-level gas grill can be $200 to $300. An entry-level pellet smoker, I guess there's a couple of them down around 500, but most of them are 700 and up, and some of the better ones are running $1,000 or up. But they have all the bells and whistles. I have one by a company called Mac, M-A-K, and it's just got all the. I mean, it's got digital control. Some of them, like the new Traegers, you can control them from your smartphone. So you set it up, turn it on, throw the meat on there, and go watch the game. Just keep your phone next to you, and you can keep an eye on it, and you can say, okay, let's raise the temp. It's getting late, and dinner's in a half hour. I need it to cook faster. And you can control that from your smartphone. And it'll send you an alarm. It's got a probe. You stick it in the chicken, and the probe will tell you when the chicken is done. So they're getting pretty high-tech and smart, and you got to pay for that.
Now, when you talk about getting high tech and you being the scientist and the grill man, I mean, how far is too much technology when you talk about grilling?
Well, I got to tell you, I hardly ever use the smartphone app. Now, I know a lot of people that love them, and in few of them, they even are linked to recipes. But I generally don't need to raise and lower the temp and all that stuff. And I'm perfectly content to walk outside and poke the stuff and stick a thermometer. And although I use the probes, and with it comes a price. Some of them use Bluetooth. Everybody who hates Bluetooth, raise your hand. Oh, look, everybody. Some of them use Wi-Fi. Some of them use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. The cool thing about the Wi-Fi ones is that you can access it from a browser. So you can set up your brisket and get in the car and drive to Timbuktu and check it while you are in the hotel at Timbuktu. It's pretty impressive.
Now, for you, what are the go-tos if you're going to be using a pellet grill? What would be the featured item that you're probably going to be preparing?
That's a good question. You want to look for headspace. Make sure it'll handle a turkey, because turkeys are fantastic on a pellet smoker. The pellet smokers produce a very mild smoke. It's not, now if you're from Texas and maybe Oklahoma, it may not be to your taste. If you're accustomed to post oak or really strong log smoked food, it's a very mild. I like to say it's a string quartet, not a brass band. But it's a lovely flavor. So one of the downsides is that you just don't get this powerful smash of smoke flavor that you would if you're burning logs. I forgot what the question was. What your go-to if you were going to be cooking on? Right. I said going off on turkey. Yeah, so you want it big enough tall enough to hold a turkey. There, really many of the features are about the same. I would look and see if there's a way to expose the food to flame. If you can expose the food to flame, then you should be able to sear a steak, sear a burger. Some of them have holes in them that allow you to do that, and you can open it up. They do or don't work. And I would just poke around online and see what people say about it. There's a lot of chatter about them. We review gas, charcoal, and pellet on our website. We've got a guy, Max Good, full-time. That's all he does is test grills and smokers. And we have a database of 600 grills and smokers that we have tested thoroughly. And he's tested just about every pellet cooker on the market. So check his reviews and see what he says about them. And then, of course, price is always a factor.
That's right. Now, as we get towards spring and we start getting those grills out for those of us that got blizzarded in, what are maybe some of the first setup tips, things you really need to be watching for before firing it up that first time?
Good point. Well, there is a real issue with gas grills that you need to think about if you've got a gas grill. The knob that you use to adjust the temperature goes through a panel like a dashboard. And on the other side, there is a small pipe with another pipe that goes into it. And there's an air gap around those two. And I don't know why, but spiders like to hang out in that air gap. And you need that air gap. Gas, propane, or natural gas needs oxygen. Right. And that's what that knob does. That knob blends the oxygen and the fuel so that you get the right temperature and the right kind of flame. And if there's a spider web in there or a family of spiders in there, you're not going to be able to adjust. So when you roll that gas grill out, you want to fire up and make sure that the flame on your gas grill should have just a tiny bit of yellow at the tip, but it should be mostly blue. You want to possibly get down on your hands and knees and look behind that panel and see if there's anybody set up housekeeping inside that little venturi, they call it. And clean it out. When it comes to grills, cleanliness is next to godliness. You wouldn't eat in a restaurant that cooked your food on a really greasy grill grate. The smoke from grease is not as good as the smoke from wood by any means. So you want to scrape out all the grease that may be left in there, the dirt, the dust, get it good and clean, get it ready for the season and keep it clean.
But the grease, I always thought that the grease gave back flavor to it.
No. Grease flavor sucks. You don't want grease flavor. I know a lot of times, you go out there and you fire up the gas grill and boy, there's this big cloud of smoke coming out of there. That's grease smoke. And it's just not as flavorful as wood smoke. Wood smoke is different. It's cellulose, lignin, and it has a lovely seductive smell and it really improves the flavor of food. The grease in your grill does not improve flavor, and in fact, it can make it taste bad. So get rid of all that grease, particularly the underside of your grill grates. The underside of your grill grates, a lot of the grease drips down. So you scrub the top, but now the underside has a lot of grease, and as you heat up that grill, that underside vaporizes the grease and goes right up into your food. You want to get rid of that, and do not, under any circumstances, under penalty of death, you will sleep on the couch the rest of your life. Do not put it in the dishwasher. That grease is just nasty. It will stick to everything inside that dishwasher. You'll never get it clean again. Take it out on your neighbor's lawn. Because if you do it on your lawn, all that grease is going to be on the grass, and your dog is going to be rolling in it. Yep. And but take it out, put it down on a piece of tarp or a bunch of old newspapers. Hit it hard with a pressure washer if you've got one, and scrub it good. Get that grill grate clean and look underneath that grill grate into the drip pan and the grease pans and get them really clean. Charcoal grills are less of a problem Usually all you got to do is scrape out the ash, and you want to get the ash out of there. Don't leave it in there because ash is very soft and fluffy. It's like goose down. And so it absorbs the heat, and it prevents your charcoal grill from getting up to maximum heat. So in between every cook, get all that ash out of your charcoal grill.
You just made a point for me. My wife was always like, why don't you just leave the ash, put more charcoal on top of it, just relight it? I said, because it doesn't get as hot.
That's right. It's absolutely right. It essentially cools it down.
Now, one of our other big things we talk about just about every month is making sure folks have the meat thermometer. And as you come into a new season, do you need to be checking batteries?
That's a great point. I mean, I've played this tune a lot, and you know it, and thank you for reminding me. Nothing will make you a better cook than a good meat thermometer. A medium rare steak is 130 to 135 degrees. And if that's how you like your steak, there's no need to cut into it and let the juices run out. And it's very hard to tell, especially under a flashlight or your spotlight on your deck at night. All you got to do is stick it with a meat thermometer, and it won't go and deflate it. I mean, and an 8-ounce steak is 6 ounces of water. It's 75% water. You're going to lose only a few drops. You're not going to lose much moisture. And a meat thermometer will tell you instantly, and you can get a really good one that takes only 5 seconds to get a precision reading for about $30. And we also test thermometers on AmazingRibs.com. We don't sell thermometers, grills, or anything. We just test them and rate them and tell you where to go to get them. But get a good meat thermometer. And if you haven't used it in a while, fire it up, check the battery level. I mean, it'll either come on or it won't, or it'll alert you that the battery's running low. There's not much maintenance that needs to be done on them.
All right. Well, Meathead, always want to make sure and point out the website and the book info, and in case folks have any other questions.
Thank you. Yeah, the book is Meathead, The Science of Great Barbecue and Grilling. Should be in your bookstore. It's on Amazon. And the website's AmazingRibs.com.
All right. Well, Meathead, always good to visit with you, my friend. And hopefully, we've all thawed out, and we'll get out there and really get those grills fired up for good for at least the next 6 months.
I can't wait.
Well, again, thanks for tuning us in for this 37th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, a question, or anything else you'd like to know, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, click on over to the shop tab on the website, gqwithcam.com/shop. Got some mugs, some shirts, hats, all kinds of other stuff that will help the funding for the podcast. Of course, if you have a special guest idea, email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Again, thanks to Brandon Allen for coming up with the theme for Good Questions with Cameron Dole. We're going to let him play us out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday.